morning and welcome to the fourth hour. It's always so great to be able to spend time with you. So, welcome. Nice to have you along. There are a few stories that I wanted to share. Newsmax has got a couple of stories that are worth sharing, and I think you're going to love as you see this headline. Are you ready? Get set for this. Trump deportation flights begin. And there's the photos. So, they have begun. Let's get into the full story here. So, started early this morning. And I think some of this I shared with you on the air. Yeah, Carolyn Levitt posting on X this morning. President Trump sending a strong and clear message to the entire world. If you illegally enter the United States, you will face severe consequences. So it's believed that some of these photos actually were taken yesterday, but I love that. I love that. That's just such a great shot. Trump deportation flights begin. And I think that is what so many of us have just been waiting for. I think Americans have been waiting for adults to be in charge and to start enforcing the law. And this is nothing against people who have come into the country. All I ask is that when folks come into the country, play by the rules. Play by the rules, obey the laws. I am still the footage, and I don't know if you saw it. I know the New York Post had it. Clay and Buck played the audio of this guy. Was he from? I'm trying to remember where he's from. It wasn't Guatemala. I'm trying to remember where he was from. But he was, giving shout outs to Joe Biden and to Barack Obama and saying blank Trump and just frothing at the mouth in the back of the police car. And I'm like, hey man, how long have we been saying? I said the same thing to you on the air this morning. Tom Homan has been out there even before Donald Trump was sworn in. This is after the election. Okay, Trump's going to be the president. Tom Homan is named as the border czar. Tom Homan is out there, and he's telling people, get out of the country. Get out of the country while you can. And he's saying it very matter-of-factly that, hey, it's going to be easy for you to leave the country. You got into the country. Leave the country now. Otherwise, we're going to find you. We're going to deport you. And I was just, man, did you see the video of this guy? It's absolutely crazy. Oh, David, 63 degrees where David is at. Yeah, not nearly as warm here. What I think was 18 when I got off the air this morning. So, Sean, yeah, it's the first Friday of Trump's current presidency. Absolutely right. Yeah, the guy was from Haiti. Thank you, Sean. He was from Haiti. And he was and just, raging. And it's like, man, it's just it's just crazy. Excuse me. Edgy claimed he wasn't going back to Haiti. Wonder what he'll think as his flight home. Yeah, heads to Port-au-Prince. That's a great point. It's just the whole thing is just absolutely crazy. And I know the headlines will give you. You feel like your head's going to explode because the stories are bad enough, but the headlines are even worse. Because headline writers, I don't know, are they trying to do that to make them as much as, because it feels like so many of the headlines are designed to be right in your face, So Steve's saying this headline, they're not just deporting violent criminals, they're taking everyone. Yeah, Steve, you're right. Duh. You're in the country illegally. It doesn't matter. And Tom Homan's, it talked about this. This is why, you're appealing to people to get out of the country on your own, get out while you can, do it before we come and find you. So you can leave, you can do it now. So you make whatever arrangements you need to and get out but you're not in the country legally. It's just, crazy to me how many people think that violating the law is their right. And there are Americans who feel that way. And you get all these people from outside the country who feel that way, that it's their right to violate the law. Well, for those of us in the United States who still, have our minds, we don't look at it that way. We totally disagree. So it's just pretty incredible as you take a look at all of this. And I totally, David, the same thing. That just, I get frosted. There's so many things these days. It's like I have to turn the news off. It's one of the reasons why I tell you all the time. I get home, I'm done. I'm done. I've done my bit for King and Country for the day. I'm done. That's it. My time in the headlines is over. Because if I don't, I would just stress out. Seriously. But David's saying the marches and protests by immigrants waving the flags of their home countries. Absolutely right. And I just get, and, I compare that then to the folks that I have talked to, and I've talked to a number of them who have become faithful listeners of the show. And I can think of several. Otto is one of my most recent callers that you probably recognize. Otto. Barry is another. Barry is a long-time listener. Barry and his family. And went through the process, became a citizen, and I know it's expensive. One of the things that I would love to see happen is let's reduce the costs for those who want to become citizens. So the folks that I talk to repeatedly on this issue, Americans now, they're not opposed to people coming into the country. All they want to see are people obeying the law when they do so. So you see this guy, angry in the back of this car and being sent back to Haiti. And it's like, we'll see ya. Seriously. And I shared this story on Facebook yesterday. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, I shared that story yesterday. And I made a comment about, actions have consequences. And so now what you're seeing are people who don't like the consequences of their own actions. Well, who have you got to blame for that? I understand that there, as you look at other countries, the conditions there are poor, so on. But as far as this guy that was being deported to Haiti, that I shared a link to the story. It was at Fox News. That guy had like 17 criminal violations. And I'm not talking about traffic tickets. He had 17 criminal violations. And that just says so much about the Biden administration. And at what point do you say, let's get this guy out of the country? This guy's got no right to be here. He's doing this kind of stuff. So you allow that, you give in to that, and you allow that to happen. And again, I feel that there are those who are behind this. What's happening with the Americans and their reaction, heaven only knows. I certainly don't. Because I look at all of this stuff and it makes me frothing at the mouth, angry with a lot of this stuff. So why they they are more inclined to be molded by what people are saying on social media, what people are saying on TikTok, and those kinds of things, rather than being guided by the law, being guided by any kind of sense of being proud to be an American, wanting to welcome people from other countries into the United States. But they have to play by the rules. They have to do so. They have to follow the law when they do so. And what I've grown really tired of is the left, the Biden administration somehow suggesting that that's wrong and holding up those people at the expense of Americans. very much at the expense of people who are born in this country. And what is so refreshing about Donald Trump and the Trump administration is that focus again, really on common sense. It's something I talk about all of the time on the Greg Belfrage show. The focus on common sense, and we're just seeing that in a really powerful way, I think. And again, I had the number this morning. It was like 530 some illegal aliens. And that was as of like 6 a.m. this morning. I heard that on Fox News Radio, and I jotted it down. Like 538 illegal aliens who have already been deported. So the flights were starting yesterday, and that is just such a massive change from the last 4 years. And I think an incredibly welcome one, not just by me, but by so many Americans who, love our country and absolutely want to be able to welcome people to come into the country. But man, if you can't abide by the law on your way into the country, excuse me, then don't be angry or in tears when we send you back home. Got to play by the rules. All right. Yeah, Denise is right. Promises made, promises kept. Absolutely right. And just look at this first week. Again, Donald Trump in days and the action that he has taken. How many did Joe Biden over the course of 4 years did not take as many actions? How do I want to phrase this? Americans are applauding more actions by Donald Trump in less than a week than they applauded of Joe Biden over his entire administration. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. So there was another story at there's a couple from Newsmax here. The Federal Reserve going to oppose Trump on cutting rates. This is Donald Trump would like the rates cut. Donald Trump is an entrepreneur. The guy, I get this. Whether the Federal Reserve is they're going to oppose Trump on cutting the rates, I figured they would. Trump is looking at things as an entrepreneur, the Federal Reserve. So we'll see what happens. So they're going to keep interest rates on hold for the foreseeable future. This will not be the first time that the Fed and Donald Trump have been in disagreement. So he's talking about that, but I don't know if we'll see too much of. That's a great question that David is asking here. Will they run a ticker showing deportations? Yeah. Okay. Let me show you what else is going on. Marco Rubio banning passports with X gender markers. So I want to get down to the photo so you can see it. Here it is, right here where I'm pointing. Sex, so on, X. No more of that. No more. Either male or female. You cannot just put down an X. So again, what I was talking about a few moments ago, what we are seeing with Donald Trump is the return of common sense. That's really what it is. It's the return of common sense. And I think for those of us who have been really kind of tired and exhausted by all the events of Bizarro World, we welcome the return to common sense. But it's pretty incredible. And the Bible talks about the wailing and the gnashing of teeth, right? And man, are we seeing that now, right? We are seeing the wailing, the gnashing of teeth. It's absolutely incredible. And I've got to say, especially I think over the last 10 years, I've had a new perspective on that the wailing and gnashing of teeth, that Christ talked about. And man, we're seeing it here. Look, you see, I mean, those other folks are going to be wailing and gnashing their teeth. They're doing it already. It's pretty incredible. All right. So for a completely different perspective, let's go to the world of Axios this morning. Look what they are focused on. The Department of Government Efficiency, they seem to be fixated on the Department of Government Efficiency. And then take a look here. Story number 4, because these are the top 5 stories right now at Axios. Top 5. 5 big things, they call it. Number 4, majority of Americans have an unfavorable view of Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. That's according to the Associated Press in NORC. They put out a poll. Oh, please. Give me. Why are we continuing to poll the ignorant? Don't care. I really don't care. I don't know how you feel about that. I need to take a breath. I'm getting myself all. This is what happens, you folks. You want me to do a 4th hour, and I start getting myself all worked up. This is why I have to take a break from the news. Every day, it's like, okay, I'm done. That's it. The Associated Press and NORC poll, Americans have an unfavorable view of Elon Musk. And well, maybe if the legacy media would quit lying about Elon Musk doing Hitler salutes, maybe they wouldn't have an unfavorable opinion of Elon Musk. Give me a break. Let's see what they're reporting here about the Department of Government Efficiency. Whatever it was supposed to be. I love the way they start out. Left wing, crazy as hell, Axios. Whatever it was supposed to be. On Monday, it apparently took a new form altogether. A federal office would, again, it's not a federal office. It's not a federal office. It's not part of the federal government. I want you to be really clear about that. Deep influence over the government's digital infrastructure. Oh, my heavens. Please. First, look what they do here. First buddy. Elon Musk, first buddy. This is why, seriously, this is why I don't read Axios on an ongoing basis. So let's move over to the NORC poll and let's see what they're reporting here. Yeah. We know a majority of Americans are unhappy. To hell with them. Have an unfavorable view of, seriously, because it's one thing when folks are informed and you have a difference of opinion. What I'm tired of are the people having an opinion who don't even know what they're talking about. They really don't have any semblance of, so about half of adults, okay, expected. I'm not surprised by that. Not when it's a poll data coming from the Associated Press. Little over half of those surveyed said they have an unfavorable opinion of Elon Musk. 36% said they have a favorable opinion of the world's richest man. 60% have an unfavorable view of the president relying on a billionaire for advice. Really? Do you have an unfavorable view of Trump taking advice from Elon Musk? Who would you rather that he take advice from? Folks who are completely unsuccessful and have what? Done nothing? I mean, who would you rather he takes advice from? He's the president of the United States. You know what I mean? This stuff is just crazy. Well, that's what's going on over at the Associated Press and their latest. It's wild. Okay. So that's what the Associated Press and NORC are saying. the voters giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. So for a little bit of sanity, let's go to justthenews.com, where Donald Trump, in office for less than a week, voters appear inclined to support his initial moves. This is polling from Real Clear Politics. Now, they do a polling average. So they look at a number of different polls and then they do a polling average. And they say that 40% disapprove of Trump's performance. Hardly a surprise. As I was saying, the AP North poll, generally it's around 50% or greater, are upset. And again, I'm just not interested in what the uninformed are worked up about. I'm not. If I want to know that, I'll go to social media. That's what social media is for. The polls of uninformed folks just don't interest me. What Real Clear Politics does is they look at sorry about that, average polling. And so that figure, 40% who disapprove, marks a considerably higher level than he enjoyed at any point in his first term. And this is what I have been saying. I think Donald Trump, during the first term of his presidency, didn't have, what do they call that period? It's not like a grace period, but that the initial period, like the first 90 days, there's a term that's pretty generally widely used for that. Yeah, the honeymoon period. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. The honeymoon, right? The honeymoon period. Trump in his first administration did not have the honeymoon period, but he's enjoying it now. And you're seeing it in that post I was just talking about. Again, this is the Real Clear Politics polling average. Joe Biden left office, 39% approval rating, 57.1% disapproval. And again, 57%. Really, how was it not higher than that? I mean, that to me is what's so incredible. I look at so many of these polls, and it's just mind-blowing. And it's one of the reasons why I think you have heard me talk less and less and less and less about polls, because I think the polls generally are used to speak to uninformed people and to validate what the left is doing versus truly getting an opinion on what people think. And are you concerned with the opinion of somebody who's not, and I'm not saying somebody who agrees with you, somebody who's informed, knows what they're talking about? I think one of my callers is who is on the left, Art, and I've got several Arts, so I offer that, but Art is on the left, and but the thing is, he's got a different point of view. I can respect that. Versus people who are just, he's informed. He just draws different conclusions than I do, right? Then there are those who are just woefully uninformed. Do you care what their opinion is? They're uninformed. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know specifics about some of these things. That they're just reacting with the herd on social media. And that's what polls, unfortunately, have become. And I think they're also used as a tool then to push a certain narrative. And you see it there with the AP North poll. Oh, yeah, people are disapproving of Elon Musk. They're disapproving of the Department of Government Efficiency. So what? I don't care. I really don't care. as I said yesterday, elections have consequences, right? And now you're suffering the consequences. I think you're enjoying the consequences, as I have been. I think many of you are as well. But the left suffering the consequences, well, to be honest, that's what I expected. That's why we have elections. But that kind of, you know, the use of polls, you just don't hear me mention them nearly as often as I used to. Because sometimes they can provide a pretty good a jumping off point for a conversation, you know, and I use them generally when I use polls, I use them in that way. It's okay, here's this poll. Generally, it's some outrageous poll. You know what? Okay, here's the question. What do you say? Um, it helps spark conversation between you and me, as well as point out to folks, hey, these polls, they're trash. They're absolute garbage. Okay, there was one other story. Excuse me. Sorry about that. One other story I wanted to share with you this morning before we're already approaching the 30-minute mark here. It's just crazy how fast this time goes. Well, more on this in a moment. More about time in a moment. Hegseth's final confirmation vote expected today. So there were a few obstacles, not major. And then you've got some of the usual crowd of Republicans who, I can't vote for Pete Hegseth. Okay, whatever. You know, they're the usual folks. And as I said on the air this morning, I'm having a harder and harder time differentiating them from the Democrats, because I hear them speak in what they say, and I listen to the Democrats and I go, it's really not all that different. You know, it's really not all that different in what they're saying. So what time is the vote expected to? I'm just curious about that. Vote for the today. Okay, I already knew that. I don't know what time though. Maybe you do. I don't know what time that, but that's likely that he will probably run through that with flying colors. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Edgy. Senator Collins, Murkowski. It's like just absolutely frustrating. But that's the way it is. You got folks in the country, and they got different ideas, they got different opinions, and okay, that's all right. I just have, as a Republican, I have a tough time when I hear Republicans sounding like Democrats. That bothers me. As a Republican myself, and unfortunately, I think you hear that. Well, too frequently for me. What was it that I wanted to, those of you yesterday, I want to, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And we were talking about timing yesterday, and I was saying, oh, I'm up against the clock, and we're at the 30-minute mark, so I called it an end, and we're there again today. And several of you said, we wish you would go for a full hour, which I really appreciate. I'm not laughing at you guys. You touched my heart. You made me happy, which is why I'm laughing. So a full hour, I think, might be a little bit much for me. And again, I've got other work of the station that I've got to take care of, because in addition to hosting the morning show, I'm the brand manager of the station. And so when it comes to our program logs and our sporting events and getting all of those, events up on the website, all of those things, as well as then my own social media, engaging with you guys on Facebook and so on. It takes me some additional time to do all of these other things, which is part of the reason. Also, I have seen research, whether it's correct or not, I don't know, about it because I'm watching the number here of folks that are watching. And I just lost somebody. I can see how many of you, and that now it's back up again. Um, I can see how many are watching. And generally speaking, studies have shown that you go over 30 minutes, you have a pretty serious loss on video. So that you wind up losing more and more people the longer you go after 30 minutes, which is one of the reasons why I've really tried to. And I want you to know that when you tune in, it's okay, it's going to be 15 to 30 minutes, and that's it, no longer. And so I'll leave it there for today. I want to wish you a really wonderful weekend. If you would, hit the like button before you go. If you can tell a friend about what we're doing, that's very, very much appreciated. And we'll leave it there. I want to wish you a really great weekend. Hope it goes well. I'll see you again Monday. So long. And I'll see you on Facebook throughout the weekend. So long until then, my friend, and may God bless.